Hello everybody and welcome back to another FCE class. So this is our 8th class of our 3rd level, so this is 3.8. Now in the previous lesson we've talked about the clauses of concession and also the clauses of purpose, okay? So that was in page 53, right? So clause of purpose. Now we highlighted about the differences between purpose and reason, right? So purpose is more of a more of a why it is done, so more of an action, okay? So the purpose of doing something, while reason is not necessarily action, just of how something is done or the reason behind the facts, okay? Now for clauses of concession, these are compromises, okay? So compromises means although, despite, in spite of, etc. Now I believe that we went through it in quite a rush, so if we can take a look again at page 55, okay, just to go through them again one by one, okay? So take a look at the blue box on page 55, all right? Okay, so expressing concessions, okay? So expressing concessions are things that we are concerned about having to do something even if we don't have to do them, or even if we don't want to do them. So a good example here, is, although it was expensive, she bought it. Now there is a simpler way of saying this in English. You could say, even if it was expensive, she still bought it, right? So this is how we would usually say it in normal everyday English. But in fact, you have a lot of different types of concession clauses, right? You have quite a few, around 8 I believe over here on this side, right? Okay, so that's just a few of the examples that we can use, but just remember a comma, right? So a comma is always used either if the concession clause comes in the beginning or at the end. So we've learned about the clause of time, right, where the comma is situated. If it's in the beginning or at the end, it should be at the beginning, right? So if it precedes, meaning before the main clause, we have the comma. But for clauses of concession, there is always a comma to make the two sentences distinguish, or the two parts of the sentence, I should say. All right? Okay, very good. So for this lesson, we are going to start with page 58 all the way to page 63. Now let's try to go through them quickly. This is the last key points of the clauses and linking words, okay? So on page 58, we have the clause of manner. Now, when you talk about manner, you talk about how someone or something is done, right? Not how, not the reason, not the purpose, but how it is done, okay? How it is done, the type of attitudes, okay? So let's take a look at that part, page 58, okay? So it's on the same place as here on the whiteboard. Now this small blue table, okay, I'll call it small because we have a bigger one later, is focused on the clauses of manner. Now, let's go ahead and read the itemized points here, and then we'll go to the whiteboard where I can use the whiteboard to elicit some different types of examples, okay? So I'll take the book off the screen, and you may refer to your own book as I explain what they mean, okay? All right, so clauses of manner are introduced by as if or as though, okay? As if or as though. Now, after the verbs act, appear, be, behave, feel, look, seem, smell, sound, or taste. So, as if or as though comes after these verbs. So, a good example would be, my friend acts as if he was a prince, okay? My friend acts as if he was a prince. He bosses everyone around, right? So he isn't a prince, but in the manner of him bossing everyone around, it is like being a prince, right? Another one would be, my friend appears as if she had won $1 million, right? Because she is so excited about her prize. So if you won $1 million, right, you would be so very happy, so very excited. Now, our friend didn't win $1 million, but she acts as if or as though, or something like, okay? So as if or as though, again, is talking about the manner of the action. Now we also have as, how, in the way, or just the way, in the way that, or the way that, the way which, in the same way, or the same way, or in the same way as, or the same way as. Now those two examples that I've given you, winning $1 million, right? So my friend acts in the same way, okay? In the same way as, or in the way a person who won $1 million acts, okay? So these are the different ways to use, but the most commonly used ones are as if or as though, okay? Now this is very different from as structure. The as and as structure is to give highlights on similarities, but this one here is talking about the similarities in manner, okay? Not the nouns itself, but the verbs, the actions, okay? Now, a good example they've given us as well, it smells as if they are frying chicken. It smells as if they are frying chicken. So, there is this smell around us, right? And it smells like someone is frying chicken, but in fact, no one is frying chicken, okay? So you can say, it smells as if someone was frying chicken. It smells as if someone was making pancakes, even though someone only has a pancake scented candle, right? And no one's making a pancake. Now, the second one right next to it is do as you like, okay? Do as you like. Now, in this case here, this is a little trickier to decipher or to explain. Now, do as you like is an expression that we give people who are who might not be in a familiar environment, right? So, for example, a new friend that you've met just recently visited you at home, and your parents said, "Oh, it's okay. You can play games. You can watch TV. Anything you like to do, you may do it." Now, another way to say anything that you may like to do, you may do it is do as you like, all right? So in the manner that you wish you want to do. Do as you like. Now, another good point is the difference in formal and informal English with the clauses of manner in sentences. Now, we usually use was, right? So she was, I was, etc. But even for singular nouns in formal English, in the clause of manner, we would use were. The plural form of the verb be in the past tense, so were. Were can be used instead of was in formal English in all persons, okay? In clauses introduced with as if or as though. So she, usually for sentences, right, we will say she was, not she were. But in in sentences where these pronouns, okay, all different types of pronouns, when I say all, I mean all, okay, are introduced with as if or as though, they will always use were. So she behaves as if she were the queen. Now, this is the formal type of English. So there is a song, I don't know if you know this song, by a singer called Beyonce, right? And so she's this female singer, and she sings about what it would be like if she were a boy. Now she sings a part of the song saying, "If I were a boy," right? So were is used again in the formal type, all right, or the formal sense. Now another good example is I think it's Shakespeare. There is a song called there is a poem called "If I Were a Rich Man" or "If I Were a Poor Man," right? I think you may search that up on YouTube. It's now a song, right? It's called "If I Were a Rich Man," okay? Anyway, were in the formal setting for the English language, okay? If it's introduced by as if or as though, all right? Okay, moving on. The tense forms used after as if or as though depend on whether the ideas are true or untrue. Now, this might be a little hard for you to wrap around, but think of the word if. So these are conditionals, right? So, for example, if I became a famous scientist, right? So, am I a famous scientist? I am not. So these are untrue situations. Now, sometimes this can be true as well, all right? It could be true. So a good example would be she looks as if she's very tired. And then someone will tell you, well, she is actually very tired. So this becomes the truth, okay? So it's true. Now we have some examples, okay? Now if you can take a look at the whiteboard as well, same place, okay? So as if or as though plus any tense, okay? So she looks as if she is Italian, so that's in the present form, right? So this could mean that you're just expressing how something seems, okay? Seems. Now, seems means how something looks like, all right? Or how you objectively or even subjectively view something. A good example is, oh, today for our FCE class, Mr. Joe seemed as if, right? As if he was something, right? So you're just expressing how something or someone looks like or feels, okay? Now another one may be expressing similarity or probability. Now similarity, I'm pretty sure you know this word. Similarity means how something looks like another thing, right? Probability means how do I put it? How something could be true, right? Or how something that could happen, okay? So she looked as if she was tired. So this one here is expressing similarity or probability, all right? Or also how something or someone seemed, all right? So this sentence actually goes around all three of them, right? So she looked as if she was tired. Maybe she wasn't tired, but she just looked like she was, okay? Or maybe she actually was tired. All right, so the tense in this case, when you're just expressing, doesn't have to be specific, all right? So it could be just around the time that you express this information and relating to the referent, okay? Now, as though or as if, sorry, over here. So as though or as if, so the three dots mean the same thing, okay? Now, if I use three dots, they usually mean the sentence that precedes, that comes before or comes after. In this case, the three dots means as if or as though, so similar, okay? Now, as if or as though with past simple or past continuous tense are for unreal situations in the present, okay? Please make sure you understand and you listen completely when I introduce this part, okay? Again, past simple or past continuous with as if or as though are for unreal situations in the present. For example, you maybe have a best friend, right? And your best friend is a lady, right? Maybe she is 2 years older than you or even 5 years older than you, and she treats you like you are her little sister, right? So she takes care of you, she makes sure that when you hang out with different friends, you are feeling okay, you are happy, etc. Now you can say, she is like a mother, right? With how she takes care of you. So you could say, she treats me as if or as though she were my mother. But the truth is, she isn't your mother, right? But she treats you as if she were. Now, as if she were can be changed to as if she was. But since we are writing down English sentences, and this is a grammar class, it's best to use the formal or semi-formal type of language. So we will keep using were, okay? But don't be discouraged when someone uses was in a conversation, and you can use was as well. But for this class, we would like to stick with some sort of formality or semi-formal language, okay? Now the third part is with past perfect tense. Now, past perfect, okay? Remember when we use the perfect tense, this means a completed action. So, in retrospect, the past perfect tense means unreal situations in the past. She talked about Marilyn Monroe. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with Marilyn Monroe, but she's this famous actress, I think around in the 60s or 70s. Or maybe even as far as the 50s, right? I'm not too sure. She talked about Marilyn Monroe as if they had been close friends, but they hadn't been. So the fact that we're using had been, okay, so this is a past perfect tense, could suggest that either one of the people in question here, the she part, the friend, or Marilyn Monroe were in the past. So that means they've passed away, or they've gone missing, or the whole situation has just changed completely. All right? So this is the unreal situation in the past, okay? All right, so the untrue would be basically just expressing similarity or probability. So how something or someone just looked like. So that's the more of the truth part. And then past simple and past continuous are for unreal situations in the present, and past perfect for the unreal situations in the past. Now we have around 15 questions for part 20, okay? So all we have to do is put the verbs inside the parentheses or the verbs inside the brackets, and then put them on the line in their correct tenses. Now how do we know which tense to use? That's right, by basing it from the table above, okay? So we have to pre-read it first before answering to see what type of situation it is. Now let's go through number 1 all the way to 15 one by one, okay? So number 1 is the example. Does he ever take a holiday, or does he ever have a holiday? It seems as though he, all right, so here we have as though. It seems. It seems means it's as if he looks like he does something, but maybe it could not be real. So what type of tense do you think that is? You are expressing how someone looks to you. Right, so this could be the any tense form. In this case, this is the present tense, or the simple present simple tense, right? So it seems as though he works, okay? He, so there's an S, as though he works 7 days a week, all right? So this is the first point. As if or as though plus any tense form, expressing similarity or probability about how something or someone seemed. In this case, it's probability, right? So how many times? Oh, it seems as though he has worked for 7 days a week, right? Even though he might have just worked one whole night and didn't get enough sleep. Number 2, my father is so proud of his cooking. Pay attention to this tense, right? Is so proud of his cooking. He behaves as though he blank a trained chef. What do you think that should be? As though he blank a trained chef. Again, this is not about the time, right? So unreal in present or unreal in past is disregarded in this sense. This sentence is more about expressing similarity, right? So he behaves like he is a professional chef. So as though he were or was. Again, in this light, we're going to use were, because we want to keep some sort of formality, all right? So, he behaves as though he were, okay? Number 3, the boy was staring at the motorbike as if he blank one before. Okay, again, what type of sentence is this? The boy was staring at the motorbike as if he never see one before. You're expressing about how someone felt like they had never seen a motorbike, right? What type of tense should we use? Right, so you can also say that that part of seeing or never seeing a motorbike is in the past, right? So in the perfect sense, the completed action of never seeing a motorbike, because now he has seen one. So it should be had never seen, okay? So number 3 is had never seen. Now a good point to have, a good measure, is with the word never or even the positive form ever. Now in these types of sentences, right, so the clauses and different probability, if you have the word never or ever, usually it is paired with the had, have, or has, okay? Depending on what tense, of course, and depending on which pronoun or which subject of the sentence is being highlighted, right? In this case, it's in the past, so had never seen. A good contrast is number 4. She is so skinny. She looks as though she never eat a proper meal in her life. She looks as though. What do you think that is? Is it the truth? No, right? So this is not the truth, but we are just talking about how someone seemed. So for something that someone seemed, we can use any tense. But what type of tense should we use? Has never seen, right? So this is, has never eaten, I should say. This is the present perfect tense. So this is type 1, okay? We can call it type 1. So has never eaten, okay? This is your answer. Has never, I don't have space, I'll write it down here. E-A-T-E-N, okay? I think by now you guys are familiar with how the tenses work, right? Has never eaten. Alright, number 5. He slept for 10 hours last night, but today he's acting as though he not have enough sleep. Or any sleep. So 10 hours is more than what the recommended hours of sleep, right? Given to us by doctors. So they recommend us to have 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, right? So this guy who slept for 10 hours last night, today he's acting like he didn't have enough sleep. Alright? So, is it true? It is not true, right? So, but today he's acting as though he not have enough sleep. This is unreal. This is not true. Because he did have enough sleep. Now, when was this happening? It was happening, or it is happening today, right? So this is a fake situation now. So this is unreal in the past. Sorry, in the present. So what tense should it be? He's acting as though he wasn't having any sleep. Is it the past continuous? No, right? A lot simpler. It's just the simple past tense. So didn't have or didn't get any sleep. In this case, it should be didn't have. Alright, so very simple, right? Let's go through a few more and then I'll leave around maybe 4 questions for you to do alone. Alright, so number 6. Number 6, she isn't a member of the aristocracy. Aristocracy is, how do I explain? Some of you might know the word. So there are royals, right? So people who are kings, queens, princes, and princesses. Alright, so these are the royals. Now, aristocracies are people who, they also have some titles to their name, like Duke of something, or the York of something, right? The Duchess. So these are different types of titles to people who are also important in high societies. When I say high society, I mean like people who are way up above in the social pyramid, if you'd like to call it, right? So she isn't a member of the aristocracy, so she's not from that side of the world where everything is nice and luxurious, right? But she acts as though she was or were, right? She acts as if she was or were. In this case, we'll use were. This just means that even if she isn't actually from that kind of family, she is acting like she came from that type of world, right? Number 7, my brother isn't rich, but he spends money as if he blank a millionaire. Okay? Again, very simple, right? So unreal in the present, right? So were, okay? As if he were a millionaire. Alright? Okay, moving on, number 8. He talked about Hawaii as if he blanked there, but we knew he hadn't. Now this ending sentence is the hint for you. Alright, so as if he something there meaning Hawaii. Now we have to use the word be, okay? But we knew he hadn't, so had not. So you can think of this as a incomplete action that maybe someone wants to do. So maybe a complete but negative sense, right? So had means completion, not means negative, right? So a complete negative action, okay? That means he has never, all right? But in this case, it's in the past, okay? So it should be had been there, okay? He acts as if he had been there. So he pretends like before he went to Hawaii, but in fact, he has never been. Number 9. The boy was so hungry that he ate the food as though he blank for a week. Okay? Now let's take a look at this sentence. He was very hungry that he ate everything up, right? He hadn't eaten for a week. Is that true? Is that a true situation? No, right? And this is what type of situation? Present or past? Past, right? So we have to use the past perfect tense, which is had not eaten, shortened to hadn't eaten. Alright? Okay, moving on. Question number 10, okay? The hand-painted bowl was quite cheap, but it looked as though it blank expensive. Now this one is simple, right? So we are looking at this bowl right now, okay? And this is a truth, okay? Now, for right now and truth, we will usually use the simple present, right? But here, okay, here we talking about buying it in the past tense. So this is a past simple, okay? Because it's a truth, but it is in the past, so past simple. But it looked as though it were expensive, or it was expensive. But in this case, again, we're going to use some sort of formality in the language. So it were expensive. Number 11, you look as though you blank some good news recently. Again, you look, so this is the key point here. It is in the present simple tense. So this has to be, you look as though you have some good news recently. You have had some good news recently, okay? Alright. Number 12, it seems as if the burglar, so burglars are people who go into houses and rob them. Alright, so burglars break in through the study window. So we're talking about it seemingly be this way, even if it might not be, right? So just simple past tense, which is the type 1 use of any tense, right? So broke in. Okay, so for number 13, 14, and 15, the last three questions, I'll give you around, this is very quick, so maybe around just 1 minute to do number 13, 14, and 15, okay? Sorry about the sounds, but okay, number 13, 14, 15, please do them within the minute, alright? So, as Mansell rounds the last corner, it looks as if he win the race easily. Number 14, I talked to him on the phone, and he sounded as though he just wake up. Number 15, the baby seems as if it have a temperature. Why don't you get the thermometer? Alright? Again, just a reminder, try to make use of the situations of the sentences and take a look at their context, okay? Between the main clause and also the clause of manner. Alright, you have around 20 seconds. Alright, so let's check it together, okay? So number 13 should be will win or is going to win, okay? In this case, we'll use will win, which is the simpler use of the future form, okay? So will win. Number 14, had just woken up, okay? So we are talking about, how should I say? A completed action, right? Just right now. So had just woken up, alright? And lastly, number 15, very simple, right? So just has. It seems the baby has a temperature. This is just type 1, alright? So these are the answers for part 20. Now that we have a solid foundation of what to what to expect. I hope that we can go through the next parts easily, okay? So now let's go and do 21, which is just to complete the sentences with the words in bold in our book on the left side. Now we can use up to 2 to 5 words, okay? We have an example. He was hungry. He felt like he could eat a horse. Could he actually eat a horse? No, right? So you can't eat a whole horse. So he was so hungry, or he felt so hungry. Okay? He was so hungry, he felt as though he could eat a horse. So this is an unreal situation in the present, okay? He felt as though, or sorry, I should say unreal situation in the past, okay? He could eat a horse, all right? Okay, moving on. Someone must have added too much salt to the soup. So though. The soup tasted as though someone added too much salt to the soup. Alright, so take a look at the tense that we've used in the first sentence. Have added. So this should be the same tense in the answer. Alright, so you keep the same type of tense. Not necessarily the same tense. Okay, so tense means the same tense. So past tense will stay as past tense. The type of tense, meaning, is it a perfect? Is it a continuous? Is it a perfect continuous, right? So in this case, it is a perfect tense, okay? Now, it is a perfect tense in the present perfect tense in the first one. In the second one, it should be a past perfect, right? So the soup tasted as though someone had added. So as though someone had added, okay? All right, we'll quickly move on to the next question. Question number 3. He seems to have put on weight since I last saw him. So this is a quite funny comment to make about people, right? So this means he looks like he got fatter, okay, since the last time I saw him. So if he looks as if, right? So very simple. He looks as if he. So right now he looks like he has put on, right? So it should be put on, same tense, right? Put on some weight, or put on weight, okay? Number 4, she had a feeling that she had been in that house before. So she had been. We're talking about past situation, right? So we don't know for sure if she had been there or if she had not, because it seemed as if, okay? So she felt as if she had been in that house before. Easy, right? Number 5. I installed the computer as he had instructed me. Now here we already have the clause of manner, right? As he had instructed me. Now we can change this and use the word way. If you take a look at the blue box, we have way as in the way, or in the way that, or in the way which, or even in the same way, or same way as. All right, so different types of ways. In this case, we'll go through the very simple route of using in the way. Okay, so I installed the computer the way he had instructed me, or in the way he had instructed me. Now, this is similar to in which I was, in which I grew up, right? So the in part can be omitted. In the way he had instructed me. So this is a past situation with a perfect, so already completed action, right? Number 6, he isn't a rock star, but he behaves like one. He behaves though, so as though. Now in the beginning sentence, we have a negative form of the present simple tense. So in this case, we will just use the simple past tense. So as though he were. I forgot the word he. Now again, you can use he was, but since we're trying to keep formalities, right, so we will use were. Lastly, question number 7. She seemed to need a rest. Okay? She seemed to need a rest. Now, a rest doesn't mean one rest, right? A rest means just a collective type of rest, or just to lay down and have a sleep. Now, a sleep doesn't necessarily mean one sleep, right? But it means the general meaning of just resting or sleeping, okay? So this should be as if. Now, she seemed, okay? She need. So need will become needed, right? So she looked as if she needed. She looked as if she needed. Alright? Now, how do we know it's needed and not had need, or had needed, or has needed? Well, if you take a look at this, the first sentence, seemed is in its past, right? In this case, we will keep the same one, alright? Okay, very good. So this is the answers for part 21, alright? Now we'll go ahead and go straight and jump into page 59. So on our book, we have the table for exclamations, okay, over here. Now, I'll refer to the textbook while instructing on the whiteboard, okay? So you can refer to your workbook as well and put some notes if you would like to. You don't necessarily have to, but I do suggest that making notes will help you understand the topics even better. So exclamations, what are exclamations? They are expressions, right? Now these expressions are used to express, okay? Express anger, so being angry, fear, being afraid, shock or surprise. Now these two are both similar, but they are used in different types of situations, okay? And many others, so like pleasure, so when you're happy. They always take an exclamation mark or an exclamation point, which is the point that we use for when we shout, right? So again, shock, fear, something. Some exclamations are oh dear, ah, oh, or good gracious. Now good gracious is something that we don't really use anymore, right? So something very familiar that we use now are oh my gosh, oh my god, something like that, right? So these are the more common exclamations that we have. Now another type of exclamation are to describe things all around us, right? So today's weather might be very sunny. So we will use this type of structure, what plus a or an, and the adjective, okay? So a or an is used for singular countable nouns. So the type of day, right? Today is a day. So today you can say it's very sunny, so oh, what a nice day. If it's rainy, you can say oh, what a bad day it is, right? Or if it's just neutral, oh, what a boring day, right? So this is another way to use expressions. Now for uncountable or plural nouns, we will not put a or an, obviously, right? We will just go straight to the adjective and the noun itself. So what awful weather we have today, or if there is someone with good manners, right? What nice manners this man has, okay? Now, you can also use how as an expression. A lot of people use this if the expressions are translated from other I wouldn't say other, but from Romance languages, for example, like French, Spanish, Italian, etc. So they would mimic how these languages expressions are with the English how. So how clever he is, how slowly he speaks, how boring this class can be, right? So how can mean it's a very boring something and you're trying to express it. So how boring is this class, right? So it's not necessarily a question, it is an exclamation, right? So it is an expression. The adjective, optional, okay? And the noun. So you can say, okay, for someone who is very dirty, right? Dirty and bad and naughty, right? I don't suggest that you say this to someone, but lots of people will say, oh, you pig, right? You pig, or you dirty pig, right? Or you bad liar, right? If you're mad at someone, right? Or you liar, right? So the adjective is optional. Now the adjective is obviously used to add more character, to add more emphasis, to add more expression, right? And then we have so much other types but we don't have to go through one by one, okay? Now let's take a look up here, which is to rephrase the following as examples. Now you don't have to write down anything. I do suggest that you put inflections or annotations, which mean like little symbols like arrows or therefore or dot dot dots to continue on, etc. Okay? So please make notes in the way that you feel comfortable, okay? So listen carefully to how we change or rephrase these sentences. I'll go through just there's 13, so I'll go through maybe 17, that's fair, right? And then try to do it at home by yourself for the remaining different questions. Now you may use all of the different exclamations and expressions that we've just covered from the blue box above. Number 1, what fantastic photos. So we use what fantastic, what plus the adjective and then plural form of photos, the noun. So what fantastic photos. Now you can change them to how fantastic these photos are, right? Or you can say such fantastic photos, okay? Now this beach is so crowded. You can say what a crowded beach, or how crowded is this beach, right? Number 4, how polite they are. So this is already in that form. What a polite crowd, or what polite people, okay? What a spoilt boy. So spoilt means the parents love to give him everything that he asks for, right? So you can say such a spoiled boy, okay? Number 6, this is such a beautiful view. What an amazing view. What a beautiful view. How beautiful are the views, or is the view, okay? Number 7, the exam was so difficult, or the exam was so difficult. You can say, what a difficult exam. All right, very simple. Now let's move on to part 23, where we have to fill what a or what an, how, so, or such a, or such an. Okay, we have around 22 questions, but I'll leave 13 to 22 as an exercise for you to do at home, okay? This is a very simple one. All we have to do is just choose, okay? If it's a countable or uncountable noun and the type of structure in the sentence. So obviously we can't use all of it for everything, right? So number 1 is what a wonderful opportunity. So we can count opportunities, okay? What about the next one? Number 2, blank funny he is. Can we say what funny he is? Such funny he is? No, right? So we're talking about the manner of someone. So when you ask for questions in a manner, in regards to manner, right? So how do you do something? How is he able to something, right? So how funny he is. Number 2 should be how funny he is, okay? Moving on, question number 3. This is blank a healthy meal. This is what a healthy meal? This is so a healthy meal. No, right? So is for, how should I say? In a different tone, right? So it should be such a healthy meal. S-U-C-H. Okay? More of a countable, right? So such a healthy meal. Number 4 is what a friendly staff, okay? Now staff, even though it's S-T-A-F-F, this can mean more than one people, right? So what a friendly staff or what friendly staff. If you say what friendly staff, then it's more than one. What in spoken English we can say what a, meaning one, but in written English that is grammatically incorrect. Alright, so just stick with what, okay? Number 5, he has such expensive taste, right? He has such expensive taste. That means he likes things that are very expensive, okay? Number 6, blank miserable he looks. This is similar to number 2, which is talking about the manner in which someone does something, or, in this case, looks. So, how miserable he looks, H-O-W. Alright? Now question number 7. She works blank hard. She works such hard. She works what hard? She works how hard? So hard, right? So she works so hard. Easy. Number 8. Blank terrible liar. Okay, in this case, there's only one liar, right? So, how a terrible liar, you a terrible liar. No, right? So it's what a terrible liar. So if you have a friend who always lies, right? And then you talk about this friend with other people, you say, oh yeah, this friend of mine, right? What a terrible liar. Number 9, it's blank tragedy. So an opportunity, so a tragedy. If we can use a or an, in this case we will use such, right? Okay, so it's such a tragedy, right? Tragedy is like a bad scenario, something bad that happened that no one wanted to happen, right? Number 10, she's blank easy to talk to. We're talking about the manner in which she talks. So should it be she's how easy to talk to? No, right? So she's so easy to talk to. In the same way of how number 7, right? How hard she works. She works so hard. Number 11, blank fantastic costume. We're talking about one costume, so a. So how a fantastic costume, such a fantastic costume. No, right? It's what a fantastic costume. What a fantastic costume. Lastly, that we're going to do together, number 12, blank sad music. What should we use? Now, how sad music, it kind of makes sense, but you have to have an additional part to the sentence. How sad music this is, okay? Now, it should be what sad music, okay? What sad music, okay? Alright? Alright, very good. Again, 13 to 22 are exercises for you to do at home, so please go home and do that, okay? Alright, so let's go towards the remaining parts of our student book. Okay, so 24 is the same as 23 except a more condensed, or I should say a more summarized part of 23. So this one is easy to finish. All right, so we have Don and John talking, so I think we have to write for both of them, right? So let's read the dialogue together. Don says, have you seen the new drama teacher? So have you seen? Okay, so asking about a completed action that may or may not happen. Yes, she is so beautiful. Okay, so again we use so. Number 2, she certainly is. She's got blank lovely eyes. So countable, right? So this should be such lovely eyes. Okay, she has such lovely eyes. Number 3, and blank gracefully she moves. We talk about the manner in which she does something. So it's either so, and so gracefully she moves, or and how gracefully she moves. Now, in fact, for this sentence, you can use either both, so or how. Okay? Number 4, have you heard her speak? She has blank soft voice. So one person has one voice, right? So a voice. Blank a soft voice. So a soft voice, what a soft voice, or such a soft voice. Simple, right? So such a soft voice. Number 5, blank pity, we don't do drama. So pity means like what a bad thing that we don't do, right? So what a pity. What a pity, or what a shame, right? Number 6, we're so unlucky. Very easy, right? We're so unlucky. Again, I guess you can say adverb, or the manner of you and your state of being. So unlucky, so happy, right? Etc. Alright, so this is again, as I said, condensation of what we did for part 23, which is just, just to summarize things a little bit. Now, I'm trying to get to do page 62 with you guys, but we have to go through page 60 and 61. So if we spend too much time, or I shouldn't say too much, or if we spend a lot of time trying to understand each point, then I'll leave page 62 as parts of your homework as well. Don't worry, I'll do some parts with you guys, and then I'll leave the majority as exercises at home. Now, this is the last criteria of the clauses and linking words chapter. Okay, so if you'd like to think of it, you can use all of the things that we've learned and then combine it with this additional excerpt, okay, which are linking words itself. Now, linking words are sometimes called conjunctions. Now, why did we separate conjunctions and the clauses that we use for linking words? Well, because they're not necessarily the same, okay? Conjunctions are more like and, but, so, etc., but in a different manner from the clause that we've learned. So now we're going to take a look at the conjunctions or the linking words. Now, please pay attention to your book and also the whiteboard, where I might use the space provided here to try and explain things, okay? So linking words show logical relationship between sentences or parts of sentences. Again, links, this should be, so linking words link, you can use link, okay? So link different sentences or different parts of sentences with logical relationships, okay? So logical means something that makes sense, okay? Otherwise, it doesn't need to be linked together. For example, if I have two sentences, I go to bed early. Last Saturday, I ate pancakes. Now, can I say, I go to bed early so that last Saturday I can eat pancakes? No, right? It doesn't make any sense. So if they're not logical, please don't merge them together. Don't link them together, okay? Now we have positive addition. Addition means to add. So, and both, not only, as well as, or to, moreover, in addition. So, she is young and successful. She is both young and successful. She is not only young, but also successful. She is young and successful too. In addition to her being young, she is also successful. Furthermore, you can say she is young, and then full stop. Furthermore, she's also successful. So this is just another example, okay? Negative addition. That means you add on some stuff, but it is in a negative form. Neither Jane nor Paula has any desire to meet him again. That means Jane doesn't want to, but Paula also doesn't want to. Now, and also doesn't want to is very clumsy, right? So instead of saying a positive and then a negative, we will just make a negative addition, which is neither nor, okay? Or sometimes even either, okay? Okay? Alright, so now next one is contrast. Contrast means to compare or to show the compromise, okay? So she can speak Russian fluently, however, she is unable to write or read, okay? So here we're talking about the stark contrast. We have a white and then we have a suddenly black, right? So white, oh, she can speak Russian fluently. The black part, right? Oh, she doesn't know how to read or write it though, okay? Next one is similarity. Similarly, likewise, in the same or equally. When you move house, you must notify the post office of your change of address. Similarly, you must register with your local county council. Now this means basically when you move house or move apartments, you must tell the office, the post office, of your address being changed. Also, or equally, in the same way, you must also make sure the government knows that you've changed address, okay? Now concession we've talked about before. So this is the highlight of compromising, okay? So she applied for the job even though she wasn't suitably qualified. So she knew that she might not get the job, but she still went to apply for that said job, okay? So but, even though, however, and still, and yet, nevertheless, on the other hand, and so on and so forth. The next one is alternative, okay? Alternative. Alternative means a different option, another choice, okay? So, or, on the other hand, either or alternatively. So they could take a holiday now, or alternatively, they could wait until the summer. So you have two choices, take it now, or wait until the summer. Now you can remove or, okay, in this sentence and say, they could take a holiday now, comma, alternatively, they could wait till the end of the summer, or till the summer. But if you're taking a look at the number 2, 4, 6, the seventh one should be emphasis, okay? Emphasis means to emphasize more on this piece of information. Besides not only this, but also, as well, what is more, in fact, as a matter of fact, etc., etc. Now, I find him pushy and demanding, and, comma, what is more, comma, he is self-centered. Okay? In this case, we can remove the what is more part because this is a non-defining, right? So we could remove it, but in this case, it puts a little bit more emphasis. So if you say, I find him pushy and demanding, and he is self-centered, then it's like, it's one note, okay? It's one tone. He is this, and he is also this. But if you use it in this way, I find him pushy and demanding. And, okay, so pushy and demanding is one part. Now here we have and, followed by a comma. This we could call an Oxford comma, okay? So a separate piece of information from the initial information. And, comma, what is more, ending comma, he is self-centered. So here you're talking about different layers. Think about the pyramid. You're building the pyramid, right? So maybe the bricks are all different colors. The first layer is red, the middle layer is orange, and the top layer is blue. So you're trying to get all those different types of colors in your sentences as well. Now we have exemplification, which just means to make examples. Clarification, which just means to clarify, to make sure something is explained successfully. So he needs to concentrate more on his schoolwork. Specifically, he has to pay attention in the classroom. Okay? Okay? Next one are the cause and reason, right? So we've already talked about that one, the cause and reason. So as, because, seeing that, due to, in view of. Okay, we've done that before. Let's move on. Manner, okay, we've also just talked about that now. So as, in the way, or how, in the way which, in the same way as, etc. Now condition. Condition means if something happens, you do this. So please notify us in the event that, or in case you are unable to attend the meeting. So if something does happen, just in case, please let us know, okay? Now, consequence of condition, okay? So the consequence means the result of the condition. So on top, it means, please, just in case, do this. Now, consequence means the action after doing said condition. So I may take a long lunch break. If so, that means if I do take that, all right? So it's usually paired with consequentially, then, under the circumstances, if so, or therefore, etc. Purpose, cause and effect, we've talked about already. Now, comparison, this is what I said in the beginning of the sentence. As, or half as, or nothing like. Comparison means to talk about the differences, okay? Time, place, and exception, we've talked about already. The relative clauses, do you remember? So whom, who, whose, which, what, or that, okay? Now, chronological, which means sequences, okay? So chronological means about the time. So talk about it in chronological order means you start from the beginning until the closest to us now, which is maybe the end or the ongoing future, right? So beginning, continuing, and concluding. So first of all, this and that and everything else. Then, or after that, or secondly, or second, right? Then we have finally, in the end, or eventually, or lastly, okay? Now, these are always separated from the sentence with a comma, all right? Now, references. References just means to talk about something in a different way. For example, I talked about this in the previous lesson. So you're referencing something, or I am referencing something that I said in the previous lesson. A good example is, we've skipped this part, right? So I can say, considering that we've learned this in the previous lesson, we can skip it, all right? So considering is a word, okay? Considering is a word for reference, okay? Concerning, or a lot of people like to use regarding or in regards to, okay? Then lastly, we have summarizing. Summarizing just means to wrap things up, okay? So, for example, right, so Mr. Joe just talked about all the different types of linking words. I can say, in conclusion, these are the conjunctions or linking words we can use to highlight different parts of information. So I said, in conclusion. You can say in summary, to sum up, or to put things all together, all right? So again, this is a good page to study actually over here, the linking words. This is very good. And then of course, you have to remember the structures of all the different clauses. Okay, so the exclamations are, they're not exactly a big part of clause, so you don't have to worry about that. Just know if it's countable or uncountable, or if it's talking about the manner, or if it's talking about the noun itself. Now, for clauses of manner, again, it's about how, all right? So the this follows the same structure as clauses of time, where if it precedes, then you have to put a comma. The only one that's different is, where is it? Yeah, this one. Clauses of concession, okay? This has a comma regardless if it's in the beginning, if it precedes the main clause, or at the end precedes the main clause, okay? All right, so I don't think we have enough time to do page 62, but I can highlight things for you so you can understand what to do, okay? So on page 62, we have to join the sentences together, then identify the linking word. I'll do question number 2 with you, okay? So question number 2, we have to use the word considering. So he's not a very good tennis player, full stop. He practices all the time. So we're talking about the two different contrasts, right? So even if he practices all the time, he's still not a very good tennis player. So the answer for that is to put considering as the linking word. So he's not a good tennis player, considering the fact that, or just considering he practices tennis all the time. All right? So number 2 should be, he's not a good tennis player, considering. Now what is considering? If you go back to page 61, you can see that considering should be reference, okay? So you're referring to the fact that he does practice a lot, almost every day, but he's still not a good tennis player, right? So considering the fact that, or you can just say that, or you can even remove that, he practices, practices. Now, practice, CE, is different from SE, okay? Noun versus verb. In this case, it's the verb. So practices all the time. Okay? So what type of function is this? Is it concession or reference? Which is higher? Concession, right? So there is a compromise of I wouldn't say talent, but of ability, right? So despite the fact that he practices all the time, he is still not a good tennis player. So this is a concession, all right? So I want you to use the words in the bracket, put the two sentences together, and tell me what type of linking word is that. Again, you can find the answers on page 60 and 61 for the type of linking words. Now, I'm sorry, I was planning to do question 6 to 18 as homework, but in this case you have to do from question 3 to 18 as homework. And then I'll do one with you as well for page 63, okay? Page 63, part 28. And also, we'll go back to page 62, part 27. Now this is very easy, just the underlined words have to be changed into the synonymous one. Synonymous means similar meaning, okay? So you can see the SYN can mean, looks like or sounds like the word same, right? So synonymous means almost the same. So first of all can be changed to firstly. Oops, there should be an S there. And firstly should be paired with a comma, right? So firstly, instead of first of all, complaints have been made. So firstly, complaints have been made. Number 2, in view of the fact that, so this is quite long, right? So we'll go back to page 60 or 61. Now, which one has in view of the fact that? Which one has it? Now there are 2, right? There are 2 that has it. But it is more of cause or reason, or is it about references? What do you think? In view of the fact that this year's bill is double, last year, some actions has to be taken. So we're doing a references, right? A reference, but also a clause. So which one should it be? Due to, right? So in view of the fact that, or due to this year, okay? So this is a, what do you think? It is both, right? So you're talking about something, and also you are talking about the cause and effect, or cause and reason, right? Now for part 28, page 63, this one is super easy. This is like, let me take a look. This is like page, I guess, 58. Okay, this is similar to page 58. All we have to do is use the words in the brackets, okay, or in bold. So number 2 is was. He decided he has to emigrate to Australia, means to go out to Australia. We can't stop him. So we can't. Now to stop someone is to prevent someone, right? So we can't prevent. Prevent who? Oops, should be letter E. Prevent him, right? We can't prevent him from. Oop, the word should be prevent, not was. Prevent. Emigrating, which means to leave your country to somewhere else, right? So emigrating to Australia. Okay? Now, in fact, we only use a couple of words, right? So prevent him from immigrating to Australia. No need to write down, okay? Now, of course, there are different ways to write this down. We can't prevent him, we can't stop him, right? But in this case, we have to follow the order or the instruction that was given to us, all right? Again, you can find the answers for this one on page 60 to 61. Just try to understand the context of the sentences and try to link them with the different linking words, okay? Is it addition, negative addition, contrast, condition, about manner, etc., okay? All right, so this is the last class for the clauses and linking words, okay? So you may combine everything that we've learned together and try to see if you understand them. Now, I'll be checking answers with you next week for page 62 and 63, so don't worry about that. I do understand that some of you may not fully understand the topic, so I'll go through them with you one by one, just verbally, okay? So I'll tell you the answers, all right? Okay, everyone, very good. So that's the end of our third level for the clauses and linking words, okay? Now I hope that you understood and enjoyed all of the different types of lessons that we've had so far, and I hope to see you again in the next one, all right? Goodbye.